I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough for HarryPE's, I hope I'm saying that right, physical damage calculator in PD2. Now, um, why is there an introduction to this? Well, very often as a physical damage dealer, you're weighing up different jewels, different armors, deadly strike versus ED, or max damage versus ED or deadly strike, and so on and so forth. And so it's really hard without knowing how the game calculates damage to work out what to do. So as a melee or ranged physical damage calculator, so multi-shot Zon, Zeal Paladin, Charge Paladin, Whirlwind Barbarian, and so on, this calculator is an absolute blessing. Now, first of all, where you find this, Discord, Barb discussion, pinned messages, you go here, this is the legend, Harry PE, and press this one, physical damage calculator. It'll be like this with these three tabs, file, make a copy, then you can edit it yourself. Now, first look, there are these three sheets. The first is blank. The second is an example that's been showed. Steel Pillar plus Fortitude versus 600 ED Crafted Ogre versus G-Bane. Then you have a page where you can weigh up an Ohm rune versus various types of jewel. You can also put in your own one. This is really in particular for working out, of course, what to socket in your weapon. So we go here, and you see that there's a bunch of stuff here. First of all, the macros, it'll ask you to accept a permission when you do this. You can copy A to B. For example, it'll copy all the values from here to B. If you do that, you can do B to A. Oops, well, whatever. Obviously, there's a bug there. B to A, copies backwards. You can reset the values of A. You can reset the values of B, and so on. Now, the first thing, the great thing about this page is that it shows you in order, basically, what is relevant. So I've been building multi-shot, so we're going to start there. Let's say I have a Bariza, which I've upped to Colossus Crossbow, or even not upped. But in this case, because he assumes, or they assume that you will up everything, since upping things increases the damage substantially. Base damage here is one of the key considerations when it comes to building a physical damage dealer. Let's say we have a 300 ED 6 socket Bariza. I think it has about 115 max damage. The calculator allows you to tick F. This is not relevant for crossbows and bows, obviously, but for a hammer, of course it does. Then you put in your strength. Okay, so one by one. This is all the ED that's on your weapon. It can be Ohm runes, which would be 345. It would be 40 damage jewels, 340, and so on, so forth. Max ED, this is only, as it says here, Pride, Hellslayer, and similar items have this mod. I think Eaglehorn, the bow as well, has this. You would put this in there. And you can see it's 100 max weapon ED, so 131. It adds to this random base here. Min damage, as it says, min and max damage is all from the weapon and off weapon as well. So this is all charms, all rings, all belts, all damage on the weapon as well. The 115 from Bariza on the weapon goes here. Amulets, helms, all jewels, etc. all goes here. This is because this stat is calculated the same when it's on your gear versus on your weapon. This is not the case for weapon ED, which is different from off weapon ED. Strength. You can put in your strength here. It's a relevant Colossus crossbow because here, which specifies how much ED bonus you get from stat points, it receives 0 from strength. However, it does receive 0.5 from dexterity. So like me, I have 500 dexterity. So that adds a lot. Off weapon ED. ED that's not on the weapon, Jules Fortitude, etc., etc. Yes, I have, I believe, 615 currently on my character. And let's say I have 560. Let's do these stats while we're here. And 56 and 210. Skill ED. This is the ED from your skill. There's actually no difference between these two numbers. You'll see if I take 15 here, so average 6759, it's exactly the same. But it's nice for you to be able to differentiate. This can be your weapon mastery for barbarians. It can be if you want to add damage to undead, damage to demon from Holy Sword, for example, you put it here, and so on. But for all intents and purposes, these numbers will add up to the total off weapon ED. It doesn't really matter as long as the total of these two is correct. Auras. You have level 8 Might from Templars. This box is extremely important. Make sure it's ticked if it's on a mercenary, as it halves the bonus. I have no fanaticism, no concentration. I have fanaticism, I think it's actually 14. Heart of the Wolverine I have from Wisp Projector, and I think I have a level, what is it, 10 Battle Command. Deadly Strike from my gear I have 32, and Amazon Skill Crit I have 63. If you're wearing G-Bane, you would put it here as well. As it says, all skills, you would have to check it because G-Bane scales with all skills. Weapon Mastery, this is your throwing, not throwing mastery, yeah, throwing mastery, general mastery on Barbarian. This is, I think, Javelin and Spear skills. This is Claw Mastery if you're doing Whirlwind, and so on. Skill ED, I have 330. Great. Then I have the basic of my character setup. And I'm missing something because, oh, it's because I've changed the ED here. So now you copy A to B. This is where things are really nice because now you can say, okay, currently with my weapon, I have 4 ohms. You'll be able to see here. I have 4 ohms and 2 40 ED 15 requirement joules. What if, let's say, I want to go full strength requirement, which I think is 163. So then I need 50-ish more dexterity. So let's say I lose 50 dexterity, but I gain 10 ED. How does that work out damage-wise? Actually, I lose a bit of damage, so it's beneficial. In this case, one also has to consider then if I, as I do here, I have to then also use the rec joules here. So essentially, I have to use 2 sets of requirement joules, but I only gain those stats once. Realistically, I would be better if I just ate the strength requirement and then got more stats on these joules. That's just reality. But let's say I want to compare to a Gorgon crossbow and I lose the 115 max that I have. Forgive me if the maths is not exactly right. You get the idea. So these are little things that I've put in, just by the way. This is what I need to know, and then I like to have the high rune price of upgrade. How much ED do I need on the Gorgon to beat the Bereza? Well, let's go to 600. Still down. Let's go to 700. Now I'm exactly even. So 700 Gorgon crossbow with losing that max damage, I end up at the same. Nice thing to be able to compare. You can also use this sheet as I have here to set up multiple different setups where I've treated one as undead damage, one as the non-undead damage in a setup, and then a more flat setup, and so on. You can use it to compare weapons, if you like, set up different weapons as we have here, and so on. It's endless what you can do with this. Now, further down, you'll see a damage profile. You'll see how the damage weighs out. If, for example, you have different min maxes, a very common one would be diamond bow. Let's say you have a 700 ED diamond bow, you can see extremely flat damage curve, which means your damage is very consistent. Of course, here you can also weigh up deadly strike and critical strike, so on, versus ED. Now, you come down to another extremely important part. Crushing blow, you have to estimate the monster health. This, if you want to use some of these tools, you can go here, this website, to work out which maps you're doing and how much life they have and how much damage you then need to, for example, one-shot a group of monsters. Like here, you can see that an ancestral trail with 15 non-breaking PS, if I have 15,000 damage as I do, I'm not killing anything with one shot, on average. If I have 17,000 damage, now I am, on average. I use this average figure here for these calculations. The physical resistance is really important. For crossbow and soul drainers, I'm at -15, and you need to put in the monster physical res, and you see your end damage after these situational things are taken into account. So another area where this is potentially useful is, let's say you have my setup, as you do, and you say, okay, but what if I go Veil of Steel, Veil versus Overlord's Helm. With Overlords, let's say I have 2 jewels in it, so we have 80, so I lose 120 ED, which is then 104.95, but I gain 10 PS. You can see that on average, I have more damage with Overlords, even losing 120 damage. Of course, the higher the Fizz res, the more impactful that is, and the lower the Fizz res, the less impactful it is. By the time you're at 10, you're losing. 20, you're still losing. 25, Fizz res. Now you're winning. Where's the break-even point, actually, I wonder? About 20, roughly. So again, you can find out this information by going in here. You can see for Ancestral Trail, these 3 mobs, there's no need for Overlords. For these 4 mobs, ignore minions, they don't really exist there. These 3 mobs, you'll win slightly with Overlords. So you'll pay 100 high runes for a slight improvement. Up to you, but that's what these are here for. Now, I think this is pretty much the whole sheet covered. The Ohm versus Jewel, you put in the weapon that you want to compare because it needs your base damage. It needs F or not. And then you simply work out which jewels you need in order to beat an Ohm. Then you work out the price required. Now, one quick tip for the min damage, max damage. You can go in here, press your advanced stat screen. You will see your base damage, and you can simply remove your weapon, and it will show you all your added from items, min and max damage. So I know without the Bruiser, which is 120 max damage added, I have 56 to 89 min and max damage. So 56 to 209 after everything is taken into account. I think hopefully that's all. Of course, the dream is to also be able to take into account things like faster run walk and so on in terms of really honing on what's best for you. But that's so situational that it's you just have to go with your gut feeling there. I've been doing these kind of calculations to work out what I think about materials. You can see here that I've added some notes to work out roughly how much deadly strike is equivalent to what ED and what flat damage is equivalent to what ED, so I can really weigh things up accurately. I think, hopefully, that's now covered everything. All credit goes to Harry PE for his amazing work on this. This is super nice, really covers everything. I just wanted to have a video there, maybe to help out some people. Super dry video, I know, but I should have explained everything. There you go. Enjoy, everyone.